Hello and welcome back to the Halo Infinite Grifball podcast. This is episode number 9, and it's Old Plex here. And if you know me from back in the day, I'd be Bench Plex. And I'm back with Grumpy Mav. How you doing today, man?
Good, good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. And our special guest today is Scullin. He's been playing since season 1, so he's one of the few Infinite Grifball vets that's played all 4 seasons. How you doing today, Scullin?
Doing great. Glad to be here.
All right. So this is the Winter League 25 AGLA playoffs edition. So the last episode was the preseason edition, and now that the season's nice and wrapped up and tucked away and put to bed, we can kind of go through some things. But first, we want to go ahead and ask some questions here to our guest Scullin about his journey through Infinite Grifball so far. We've seen a lot of different game types. We've been through a lot of change and whatnot, and it's just it definitely takes a lot of adapting to be able to play across 4 seasons. In season 1, you were a contender in the semifinals with Joshi. Did you want to go in and talk a little bit about that season?
Yeah, that season was kind of special for me because it was a really big comeback season. It started out with drafting Josh Menz and then Blue Racer Train, who never appeared because they had to play pickleball. Ended up getting Ram midway through this season, which enabled KD to join Mongo's team. But I think midway through the season we were 1-8, and then we ended up finishing the season out, I think, 11-9. So it was a really nice comeback. We had made a bunch of adjustments mid-season. Josh had to change how they played, and then having Ram some consistency, managed to get a really key role player. And then Menz is just a god and the best player of all time. But got to playoffs and ended up choking kind of hard. I don't know if people remember, but my infamous throwing the ball to the other team in the first game because I decided to change my control scheme the night before.
Oh no.
And then ended up coming back that second game against Lux's team, or Death Crawler's team, I should say. And we were 4-4, and Seb had the play of the game where he had a repulsor sword lunge on me, and managed to steal the ball and score the goal. But it was a really good season overall. It was nice to come back after being last place halfway through the season, but just could not clutch up the season in the playoffs. But still really good. First time I was ever a high-ranked player, too. I think I ended up being the 6th highest grade. I
I
think
can
one
check.
best.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I think you were ahead of me. I think you were 5 or 6. I
I
made
think
the
I
step.
just fell out of S grade.
Let's see. Winter League 23 stats. Leaderboards. You were an A plus. Yeah, so you were 6. You were an A plus.
So that was new for me because I've historically been last round pick. I have been second to last pick in I think 2 drafts, and usually later in the last round I've been picked. So going from being an absolute shitter to having to be one of the main players in the league or for that season was a change for me. But it was a good season. Unfortunate way it ended, but learned a lot. It was a really fun season 2 with the mode. But yeah, that's kind of overview of season 1.
Yeah, I think different players have different games that's their game. Like A Spence, Halo Infinite is his game. Like he's played on the other games or whatnot. He is the most dominant on Halo Infinite, and I feel that way about you too. I feel like Infinite is your game that you've excelled enough on. I'm pretty sure you remember this, but do you remember that DJ Blue tourney that you, me, Nets, and Captain Sev
Yep.
played in? You remember that? I was thinking about that
Yes,
the
I
other
do.
day. Oh my god, an unaware potato out there. I was literally useless, but
You were good. That was a fun team.
yeah, it
That
was.
was that Halo 4? That the Halo 4
Yeah,
tournament one? The first one? The one that was like $1,000?
it was one of them. I played in all of the DJ Blue tournaments, but the H3 one. So I forgot if that one was the very first one I played with Plex or the second one.
I think it was the first one. I'm not sure, but
Okay.
it was just yeah, it didn't translate the wins, the fun part, and they put us against Gal's team in the very first round,
Yeah, I
and
remember
we just
that. That's
we couldn't do anything.
we had the lowest seed.
But yeah,
But
season one was definitely an experience. It was a much different game type. The sword definitely had a lot more power to it than it does now. You could chase
yeah,
people really well, and it was very hard to find that niche for the sword. That whole season one, I was still learning. I did not like this game whenever I first played it. It was a shock, but it kind of grows on you, I guess. The more you play
It
it,
They say it takes about like 5 to 10 games to get someone adjusted to it, especially back then when the sword you had to like hold back on it, which was really fucking annoying,
yeah.
especially for me.
I loved it. I miss all the little quirks from season one, even like the unintentional stuff, with, like when you sword lunge someone and phase through them. All those weird things were awesome. On top of that, the launching in season one was the best out of any season. But
I think season one is like the only season so far in Infinite where you could be like an actual like true sword tank. Because if I remember
oh yeah,
right, have your number memorized?
yep. And Khan, he was on your team, right? Noplex.
yeah, it was Ken Kaneki. Yeah, he was an Aussie sword tank. He really liked the game mode. I don't know if he would play now if he came back, but he was a big surprise as a pretty much
Oh
a
yeah,
he was one of the last draft picks too, like second to last, pretty much.
yep.
Yeah, because we had the last pick and we picked what's his name? I forgot.
Chicken God.
The
No,
Chicky
no,
God,
because we
No, you
traded
traded
chicken.
for him. That's
uh,
right.
Yeah, we traded. Who was it?
General Corned Beef.
That's who it was. I couldn't
That's
think it.
right.
Why do I remember that? uh,
Oh
yeah, that season was. I would say Ace Spence did a very good job in season one, getting everyone to play when you have
yeah,
people to quit, but also keeping it competitive. Sure, you're gonna have it more loose the first season just to get people in and whatnot, but it still was pretty wild. And Mav, it makes me think: had we drafted you instead of Zahils in the
We
first round,
probably would have won it
how
all.
how, how much different would our season have been? Because it was like
The, mo-
night and day when you subbed for us.
I think the games I subbed for you, like every time I win like plus 30.
Yeah.
There's something like that. So long ago now. That was almost 2 years ago.
Well, it was over a
it was
year
a year
ago.
ago.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was it was in 23 that winter, like November, December 23. So, we've played 4 seasons in, a little over 12, 13, 14 months, which is good turnaround, honestly. But
I
I,
mean, we went like what 2 years without a season almost.
I'm not sure. I wasn't
there
there.
was I think it was about a year, maybe not even. It was about a year, I think.
Felt like 2 years.
I can't remember if it was 23 or 22, and like,
So we had the Reach season, but that was not AGLA. That was
yeah, that was that same year in the spring.
GWL.
yeah, the GDPL Reach season. And before that, I would think it was a bunch of tournaments.
Yeah,
And
and we
then
think we had some tournaments after that Reach season too. I thought.
uh,
I might be
I
thinking of
I
before.
think we
It
had
was.
one. We might have had one or two. It's hard to remember because this was almost 2 years ago.
I'm thinking of the Scomancer not paying anyone Halo 4 tournament.
Oh, that one?
Oh,
I, f-
I remember
I
that. I
forgot
was
that.
I was checking out. I remember that. I was checking out kind of. I wasn't really around much. But yeah. I remember him and Rain were admins, and they tried to run something, and they didn't pay anybody after they won.
Rain. Oh
well,
man.
well, I'll go ahead and move on with the segment that we're doing here. So, I'm sure you probably don't want to stick too much on season 2 and season 3. We can just kind of like whatever. But
That's fine.
I will stop and say season 2 before they patched the game and the servers and absolutely wrecked everything. That was the game type. That pre-patch season 2 that was as good as it was, or one of the times it was good. It was uh, the server stuff just really messed the games up, I think. So, but yeah, season 2 you're on SI, and obviously that season didn't go how you wanted, but I think that's just a testament of draft versus bid. Like draft is good and it's straightforward and all that, but bid gives you so many more options of who you can get. So like in draft, you have like probably 2 or 3 choices each round you're going to be able to get. But in a bid, you can almost get anyone from second and third round at any
Yep.
time. So I think that's something.
Yeah, season 2 is interesting too, just because of I wasn't actually captain, but did most of the captaining, so I kind of just rigged the team for what I wanted. But no, I think we actually had a really good team. We just shot ourselves in the foot season 2. I think we had a lot of games we lost 5-4, but yeah, it just never clicked. It was fun to play with Men's again, and Diablo. He was an absolute goon. I hope he signs up again.
Same.
But no, it wasn't that bad of a season. I think season 3 for me hurt more than what could have been. But yeah, season 2 just a lot of misplaying. I wasn't as good as I was in season 1 because a lot of good players signed up again. So like my stock fell, and I've never been that great at as a tank. So trying to be a main tank at times, I just cannot do. It was a struggle for me, but still played well. I think it was a
You
really
were an
fun
A
season.
minus.
Yeah, I do argue that the running grades made it really easy to get your grade up.
I was gonna say because I checked, you went -32 and you're an A minus.
Yep. I have gone negative every season, actually, and I've been A's multiple times.
Not this season. I think this season you went like plus 100 and something.
God damn, really?
Let me look at it. It was
All downhill from here.
I know.
okay, so you went plus 87.
Shit.
Maybe
Okay.
you're thinking of Hawk or me. I thought one of us went 100 and something besides from me.
Probably Hawk. He's been going off. He's better than me.
No, Hawk went plus 16.
Damn.
He also did sub like 30 something games this season, which is kind of wild because he basically perma-subbed for half of Shrek's team.
But to me, that makes it harder because you're subbing for different team comps and you're still staying consistent and contributing. You know, to me, the more games thing makes it harder. Sure, you get more games to pad your totals, but we all know that we look at per minute stats the most for stuff like that,
Oh yeah.
anyways. But yeah, I guess
Yeah.
we can get back to talking about season 3, and that like you said, that was a heartbreaker because you had Digital, who could have come out and had a great season. I'm really glad he played. I hope he signs up again another time. And then, of course, you were the runner, and Square Barton was supposed to be, the kind of wild card, dark horse, and he just never played. And if he could have been a big impact player, say like Hyde was for KD's team, Solis's team,
Yeah.
it could have been a lot different. But I know you had the big kitty too on your team, Majestic, helping you out. Love that guy.
Oh yeah. It was yeah. I think our team had a ton of potential, and I don't even with Dig not practicing as much and us not having Square, I still think we were decent. But like that was the very first season where I had to be a true like tank. Like I barely ran that season, and that was so weird for me to adjust how I played because I went from normally when I tank I'm pretty aggressive, and I think that season I was super passive compared to what I normally do. So that was a really big change for me. But like I wish Dig just practiced like a little bit more with us because like during the games, like he's played forever. He's a very intelligent Grifball player. He had all the correct criticism and stuff. But it's just like if you could tell us that before games and scrims, we'd be such a better team. And actually, like towards the end of the season too, like Ditch was starting to click and get the tanking down, running down. So like we had a ton of potential, but nothing really clicked. And then Swear Barton baited me, gave me all the confidence in DMs that he would play in practice, and then never showed up after the draft. So yeah, it was unfortunate, but I'm really glad Kitten's got to play. He was really fun to play with, really good guy. I think he has a ton of potential. He needs like a true veteran to kind of hone it in, I feel like. But it was a heartbreaking season for what could have been, but still had a lot of fun. I'm glad we did play every game though and finish it out. We also got to screw over Spank's team and kick him out of playoffs, so that felt good. But yeah, that was a pretty interesting season. I think we ended up playing like six games in one night, and then just season ended after that. But I think that's when we got our first win too. Second one, we beat your team once, Mav. I forgot about that.
Yeah, we 5-0'd you the first game, then we lost like 5-2 because Pop-Tart and everyone else was throwing. That was a fucking awful team.
Dude, that first game tilted me so much. Oh my god. You just kept doing the same thing to us, and it hurt. Grapple and hammer the runner, and then it's walked in like 4 times in one game. But no, that was another fun season. I was really happy not to captain or do any captaining duties finally. So it was a good time to step back. Also drop my draft stock a lot, which I think helped coming into this season.
And then now we're at the current season, which I guess we could call season 4, since really it's season 3 of AGLA because last season was IGL, whatever, same difference. So season 4, I guess, and now you're on Mungo's team, Mav, and then you got Thumping Hawk. So it's you did the same thing as last season, but now you have Thumping Hawk as a 4th, who's a wild card, and he's been playing out of his mind. Like, he's very mechanically sound. I never got a chance to play much with him because he was kind of coming in when I was on my way out the last time, like I think 2018. So I don't really know. I'm not familiar with his game, as Shaq would say. But yeah, we can get into more of that a little bit while we're about to go into a recap of team standings and how they got there. So we'll be able to talk about this season plenty for sure. So I guess we can go ahead and jump into that, and then thankfully I'll get to start with my team because we're on the bottom. We can rip that Band-Aid off real quick and then never speak of it again. So obviously, my team was a great-looking team on paper, similar to Cosmos. Had all the pieces there, had the high credit player. We played I feel like we all played pretty well individually. We just did not play together well at all. We really didn't have an identity at runner. Nobody wanted to run the ball. Ace Bench tried. Priest tried. I tried. We just couldn't make it work. And it's pretty disappointing and disheartening because Priest and I both had pretty fucking good seasons. Like, I haven't had a statistically good season like this in a decade, probably. Same with Priest. So I don't want to say it feels like it's wasted, but it feels like it's wasted. There, I said it.
Feel your pain.
You ripped the Band-Aid off. Do you feel better now?
But nah, it's no diss to Smurf or anything. I do really feel like he tried to build a competitive team, and he had some good moments in game too. He was our aerial tank. He was always in the air and getting clutch kills here and there. But that's what it was. We could not play make. Tanking, fine. I think we were like number 4 in the league for tanking numbers. We had the tanking lineup. It's just the big kills by their plate, by our plate, pass plays, just little shit like that. We couldn't do it right. And our only win was against Solace. Somehow it had to be a fluke.
Oh,
So,
kind of crazy.
yeah, but yeah, that's all I got. We suck.
Do you want to go to Cosmos' team now?
No, you can talk about our team. Y'all can each say something. I mean, we can go through it.
We never played you guys. I don't know what your
Like I
team
said, we
like.
never played you because you
guys,
literally you guys forfeited right before we played you, so we didn't have a chance to say anything.
I mean, I will say, just from the clip and stuff, the fact that Ace Pence got a Killian here and you guys didn't score still, I think kind of sets a precedent for your season.
That's a microcosm of our entire season right there. A nice little cross section. Yeah, I think we just kind of got to a point after we lost to Cosmos' team. I think we had 4 or 6 more games after that, and then they just kind of all decided that can we just like forfeit? There's no point, and it wouldn't have really made any difference either way. I don't think. I could have shown up 1v4. It really wouldn't have mattered. It would have been a quick 5-0, just like a forfeit. It really wouldn't have been much different on the stat sheet, but it's disappointing because, I mean, Skull and your team in Season 3, y'all's team was pretty doomed, and you still showed up to every game, played 6 games in a night and all that, so there's something to be said about doing that kind of thing, so
Yeah.
we weren't about it, I guess. But what team better to be fucked over and be in last place than a team with 3 admins on it? Go team, right?
Can't say you guys rigged it.
Nope, we rigged it the other way, I guess, against ourselves. But moving on to eighth place team, it'd be Employees of the Month, Cosmos. Other than us, they probably have to be the biggest disappointment. And again, it's not really due to anyone's individual play. I mean, Big Al, he sort of struggled at the beginning of the season, but he started to come on mid-season and late season with late league, and he was practicing more, playing more. Cosmos, he's arguably a favorite or a shoe-in for best tank. He has to be. He has to win the best tank award. If not, that's definitely rigged. And Chemical, he's a good glue player or whatever. He stands in the middle, gets his kills. He can chase sometimes, and that's bad. But in general, Chemical gets his kills, plays decent defense, is where he needs to be. And Rain or Wimpy Deer, your name's Wimpy Deer or Gambit, goddammit. He had probably the best season he's had in 10 years, too. He had a game where he had an A grade, and that's just something me and him don't need to be doing. But he did it anyway, so their individual play was there. They couldn't get it done as a team.
It's kind of confusing how they didn't like work well, but I guess it's one of those things where like you really need to have like a good runner sometimes to make it all work, and unfortunately, you know, not like a shot at Big Al, but like he just wasn't that good. I mean, this was his first season in like a decade, wasn't it? Because he had played before, I'm pretty sure. I don't know, maybe Noplex, do you remember him at all?
Oh yeah, he was a big Halo 4 AMI player. He played quite a few seasons in Halo 4, but for Halo Infinite, yes, this is his first season, and it's been a while since he's played.
Yeah, unfortunately, like obviously he couldn't like break like what's the word, muster back all of his old talent. I mean, if you look at it, Cosmos went plus 576 in the season. Chemical was third and went plus 333, and then Rain was 10th on the spread leaderboard and went plus 111. So they had three players in the top 10 for KD spread, and unfortunately, it didn't mesh well. This shit didn't go right.
I am going to go back to what I've said before, but I honestly don't believe the runner was the issue. I think Al was good enough. I don't believe they played well enough as a team around them, around Al specifically, to protect him. And on top of that, too, I just don't think their team knows how to die properly. I think they were all too afraid to die, and that kind of ruined their pushes and stuff. On top of the fact that they had a lot of holes in their tanking line usually, so it was pretty easy to get to the runner when that should not be the case when you have, like you just mentioned, Mav, three people in the top 10 for KD spread, top 15 for grades and stuff. Like, they can get kills, but they also just
Can't score
did not
goals.
can't score goals because in my opinion, they didn't protect the runner. I know you can argue Al wasn't as good. Honestly, I think he was suitable. But also, the other thing, too, I think I saw is they always wanted to go for kills. Like, chasing random people around the map, losing focus on runner and stuff, it seemed like. It was a lot of awareness and just team play. I think they were missing.
It also seems they betrayed a lot because I'm looking at the betrayals, and Rain is number one with 68 betrayals, and then Chemical is three with 60. That's a lot of betrayals. That's 120 betrayals just between the two of them.
Jeez.
Oof.
So, yeah, I think their team play just was not really there, and that's what shot them in the foot.
Yeah,
These are the times where it pays to have chemistry.
Yep.
Yeah, I really very much agree with what you said, Scullin, because the game I watched against when they played Evil and they were winning 4-0 against Evil, and then Evil came back and won. I was watching that game and leaving their runner unprotected, that was a problem. I literally watched a play where they just kind of all left. I mean, Cosmos was on the spawn, killing them. I mean, that's where he needs to be. But the others, they kind of drifted off and left him by himself, and he got killed, and they took the ball and scored it. Um, and I think that's a contrast with my team. We just did not have a runner, and they had a runner, but they couldn't protect them. Like our team, we just couldn't decide. We didn't have any identity at all, and I guess with them, they just couldn't really be their identity that they wanted to be. So um, sometimes KD doesn't equal wins. On this game, it usually does, or reach it did, But this game is, yeah, you can definitely clutch out some wins without having a crazy strong tanking team, but it's definitely
For
needed.
sure.
Uh, Moving on to number 7, which is probably a big surprise with Coop de Puff, Hell's Angel, Infection, and Ram and Grunt. But let's just be honest, that Hell's and Infection just wanted to take a break, let somebody else win one. They're back-to-back
They want to take the
champions.
season off.
Yeah, they're back-to-back champions. They were basically turning into the Chiefs on us. So good on them for letting someone else win. I don't really see much of a difference in their team of last season because it's the exact same team except they had Shrek instead of Ram. I mean that's really their only difference. But obviously they would have lost a lot of tanking there. But I still feel they played pretty well with the team that they had, and we had some big heavy hitters that didn't sign up this season. I mean, Fancy didn't sign up. Zim signed up but had to back out. Uh, Papa Snipes
Snipes.
he
I should
couldn't
say Snipes.
play. Yeah, and Gingy he didn't play. So it was a lot of holes put in it. And I know I'm forgetting someone else, but I can't think of them right now. That usually plays but wasn't able to. Majestic he couldn't either. So there's a few players that couldn't show up or play this season, but even though they were still a game out of the playoffs, and employees of the month were only 2 games out because still a very balanced season, other than one team. But yeah, I
I think the main problem with this team was that they just didn't have like a top player to sort of help along with like Infection and Hells.
I
Like,
think. Oh, sorry.
I know you can talk.
So I think they were kind of fine as a team. I don't think they would have won, but I think they should have made playoffs. I know their second to last series against Cosmos, their second game, they choked completely. Hurt to watch. Turnover over their plate and cause a goal to go 4-4. But I think they've had a lot of games this season where they've lost 5-4. And I'm kind of guessing since I haven't watched a ton of them, but I think one of their main issues is like they take too many risks or not smart risk. I know their team play a lot was about passing across the court and having people flank, but I think a lot of times they took risks that they didn't really need to or shouldn't have, and then that ended up getting turnovers where I think their game plan was solid, just the execution was kind of messy at times. They were honestly too, I think, in my opinion, one of the most fun teams to watch. Not just because Ram was on it, but
definitely because Ram was on it.
but yeah, I think they shot themselves in the foot this season. I think they had the potential to make playoffs and have a decent chance to maybe win a series, but I think there was a lot of risk and execution in their game plan that they screwed up.
I'm looking at. I think they had 4 games that went to 5-4 and they lost.
That hurts. Ouch.
Maybe it was 3. It's kind of hard to count because there's so many games. No, I think it was 3. Still, that would mean if they get one more goal, they go from being what 5-11.
Mm-hmm.
They go from 5-11 to 8 and whatever that 8-8. So whatever that math is. So like they would have knocked Shrek out of playoffs. Only if they would have gotten like one more goal. A lot of close games for them. A lot of 5-3 games with them too.
Yeah. So they were a competitive team. Just I think a lot of their execution struggled at times.
Yeah, as A. Smith would say, unfortunate. Truant.
Yep.
All right, so next we got who just eked into the playoffs is Shrek Republic. When we know who the captain of that team is, it's literally in the name. But he had kind of a rocky start to the season, and he built a pretty good team. But obviously Hydegate happened, and then he had to get a sub thanks to your team. But his team comp is good. It's got a lot of good, strong tanking. They have Shrek, obviously, who's a very good, aggressive, kind of a momentum-based tank. And he can hate thrusters all he wants, but he's still pretty damn good at it. And Ducky, I feel like Ducky's slowly been improving since Season 2. Season 2, he was all right. Season 3, he was better. Season 4, now he's gotten even better. He's just really solid as a third, fourth, whatever you want to wherever you want to put him, really. And then Havoc Puppies, this is her first season, but she's really been holding it down with the multi kills. Like she might not be dominant throughout a match, but she will definitely get streaky, sort of kind of like how I can do at times. And she'll just be really quiet, and then all of a sudden, boom, kill tack or boom, overkill, and open up something for their team. And obviously, from getting Marvin on their team, having a runner, they have an anchor now, and they have someone to kind of run their offense around. So I think it's been a huge buff to their team.
Like when the season like first started, my concern with them is because you have no runners, and honestly, that showed as they only went 6-10. I mean, having Shrek run probably isn't the greatest thing to do. Even not saying he's a bad runner, but just like he's a much better tank than he is a runner. And I think the beginning of the season he was like a C grade player, and then after Hawk started subbing for them and running, he shot up to being a B plus. And but I don't have the time to see how many games Hawk sub for them, but I mean I think it's just huge having someone else from Shrek running. He's such a much better tank than everyone else on his team, respectfully.
Yeah, I agree. I think now with Marvin, their team is actually pretty scary because they have a solid push tank, like you said, no Plex with Havoc, and then Ducky and Shrek can make plays and hold their own. Marvin's improving every freaking game, so he's just gonna be a better runner, and he's a pretty aggressive runner too. So you kind of gotta have a tanky runner there. But I think, yeah, they are kind of scary now with Marvin.
Yeah, I
They
definitely
ki-
agree. I agree with that. You can go ahead, Math.
Like I say, they're kind of fucked once Hawk has to play for us. I don't know. Like I don't remember seeing exactly who we allowed him to sub past Hawk, but the minute if they win against Evil, uh, and then they somehow beat Novice's team, and then if we can make it to the finals, then I think they're kind of fucked respectfully. Because obviously Hawk plays for us, so like that team's a big ticking time bomb waiting to happen, in my opinion. Time will tell.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I'll go on the other side and say it's crazy that they're even there with the season that they've had. I mean, yeah, they get a sub here and there and all that, but to go through that adversity and still eke out and make it into the playoffs, I'd say that's pretty damn good. But I mean, you make a good point. If they do make it to the ship, they'll have to sub someone else, but they'll have more choices then because other players will be available and knocked out anyway. So, but it'll be interesting to see how dark of a horse they can be in the playoffs, I suppose, because you always got to watch that low seed team. Definitely. On to number 5, like clockwork, which is Sab's team, finished 10-6, and that would be Sab, TCT Avenger, Dylan, and Captain Sev. And Dylan has pretty much not been available to play most of their games. I've subbed in some of their games, and I believe they've had some other people sub. You can really never discount Sab. He's a top player in any game. He's someone you don't challenge ever, really, in any situation. I mean, you have to tanking, but with the ball, he's just a ball hawk. He's really good at turning the tides of a game and getting a carrier kill, running in an easy goal. And you got Avenger. Avenger's like I don't really know how to describe Avenger. He's just a pure wild card. Just pure aura he is. He can go neg 20 in a row and then just pop off the next round and just be unkillable. And obviously he's fucking hilarious, so he adds morale to the team. And then Sev's their anchor really because he's their runner, and Dylan is obviously their spawn killer slash pass catcher or whatnot, but he just hasn't been around really. So uh, definitely a real solid team. Sab got to reunite with Sev from last season because that was their team last season with Kem and Dekleek. So he got to take a piece from last season and kind of add to it. But yeah, that team definitely is solid, especially defensively. I feel like they all are either moderate defenders or great defenders.
Honestly, I'm kind of impressed that they got so many wins with the amount of like without their second. Well, I guess yeah, you could say Dylan's their second best player. I think he's a C. I don't
Yeah,
remember what he was last season. I'll say he's like a C to a B. I mean, I think he only played like 4 or 3 games this entire season. And then the fact they're able to get 10 wins is pretty impressive, especially since they always had to sub them out all the time. Kind of shows the power of Sab, I guess.
I think too the fact that they got Alex coaching them helps a ton. But
I completely forgot about that.
yeah, but I do think I'm gonna assume Dylan will play. I don't know for sure, but
I can find out. I can ask.
I think the trio of Sab, and Avenger with the Dylan is really scary. That trio being pretty passive and really good at defending, and then you add Dylan, who's kind of a wild card, I think will make this team a lot scarier. Just from the brief stats, which I know they don't mean a ton for his amount of games played, but Dylan seems to be pretty good at being an aggressive tank, which I think that is their team's weakest point right now. Is they're pretty slow and they're methodical, but I think with Dylan being aggressive and making the plays he does, going to spawn, whatever, I think their team will be kind of terrifying. So it'll be interesting to see how they turn out, especially if they have Dylan. But that team is, I think, probably the most underrated going in these playoffs.
They say, yeah, once they've been, I don't know, I haven't, have they been subbing with Dylan? Can anyone?
Yes, I've subbed for Sab probably 4 games, and I'm sure he's found other subs, but I've subbed for him quite a bit this season.
I think Marvin played for them too.
As I say, I think Hawk
Yeah.
played a few games for them as well.
Yeah.
They've been, I don't know, I haven't seen, has anyone been watching them scrim? Because I know they've been scrimming a lot, so I'm not sure if they've been scrimming with Dylan, because if they haven't been,
I
then
don't think they have. I think they've been getting subs.
that might be a little concerning, because they haven't played much time together, and the first time they might have played in a while would be against us. So this would be, I'm curious to see how well they'll do, because it might go really well, it also might go really bad since they haven't really played together, but who knows, we'll see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be an interesting wild card going in the playoffs.
Yeah, like I was saying before, you definitely always want to keep an eye on that 5 and 6 seed to make a run at it. The next team we had that finished 4th place is a subject that you two are quite knowledgeable in because it's your team. 9th place, which is hilarious, and I knew he was going to change his name to that shit. It's Mungo Pungo, Scullin, Mav, and Mr. Vine, Marvin, Thumping Hawk, Legend, whatever you want to call him. Y'all are just the bend but don't break team. Between your team and Evil's team, y'all stole all the fucking runners. All of them. It's a good strat. It's really a good strat. Take all the runners. Other teams suffer. It's great. Y'all's team is... I can definitely tell that y'all like to give the ball to Marvin a lot, but any of you can just pick up the ball and run with it. Or pass plays or whatever. But I know when y'all like to run your set offense, you like to have Marvin have it, so y'all can all do your tanking thing. But yeah, y'all are definitely good. There's no doubt about that. There's no weak point in your game, as Rage would say.
I think the only, I don't know, so like the games we've lost this year have been almost all 5-4 except for Novice's game, and then the game we lost to against Sav. It's been interesting because I feel like our record doesn't necessarily show like where we are in the team standings, if that makes sense in a way. Because I feel like we're top 3. Let me pull up some stats here. If I can find my tab.
The one thing I'll say is our first two, or the 2 series we had to lose against Solaces and Evil, Marvin was still figuring out the game, so we weren't at our top.
As I say,
yet.
Hawk had only like just gone back from the US at the time, or gone back to the US at the time, and we've been playing for maybe a few days when we played those games, and now obviously Hawk has had a month under his footing, and he's probably, I'd say, like a C plus or a B grade player now. So it's kind of huge. The difference can be.
Just trying to figure out too how to play together was an issue. I do.
Yeah, that's still an issue.
Gio got us going though. If it wasn't for him, I don't think we'd have a good season. The mindset he instilled in us was worth it. I wish he would have played more, but
Unfortunately, he's busy with school or work,
Yeah,
so he
but
could barely ever play.
He did a lot for us that one night when he got
Yeah.
us going.
Yeah, you got to have a coach on the team. He's your Lux basically for your team,
Pretty much.
Coach Geo. But yeah, obviously y'all are very well rounded. I kind of compare y'all to Evil's team, which is funny because he's the next one up, and they finished third. Knock Goose, which is Evil, Katie, Skill, Master Squirrel, Risky, and Indices. Again, like you fuckers, took all the damn runners, didn't leave any for anybody else. Good strat, definitely. Uh, Evil had a lot of running experience last season for his team when he had Snipe and Fancy and Mungo. He got a lot of running in, but he just said, that's not enough. I'm going to get all the runners. I'm going to get KD, I'm going to get Master Squirrel. And PD was a big surprise, honestly, because I know Novice bid up PD to 10, and that would have been a solid team, obviously, if Novice could have copped PD as a fourth, but he ended up getting Panther Lily. But Evil and PD playing together, I did not have that on my 2025 bingo Grifball card, if that's a thing. But it's been interesting. Katie's skill, to me, has been the most impressive player, and here's why. Katie likes to run. She is a runner. She is the anchor. She's the shot caller. And she's been the lead tank. So it's been quite a transition for her, and she's been doing very well. Because to me, that's their lead tank, is KD. And then, Evil just kind of meshes in there, and regardless of what night they're having, it can be either PD or Indices. PD recently just went to hybrid controls, and he's pretty excited about it. He's getting a little bit more efficient and whatnot. And like I said, Indices comes whenever they need a sub. But the biggest surprise, KD, but their most dominant player by far is Master Squirrel. He is a menace. He just dares you to come and try to kill him so he can punch you. He don't miss with the ball, and yeah, he's pretty much the backpack of their team right now, I feel like.
This team's probably been like the most surprising for me because I thought they were actually going to be the worst before the season. Because like I just didn't see how this team was going to mesh with whoever was going to tank and whoever was going to run. Also, surprisingly, Evil has gotten a bit better since I'd say not the beginning of the season, before the season. So I would attribute to, I guess, Katie finding her way as a tank, and then Squirrel being a much better runner than I think most people probably thought he was going to be, and then Evil getting a decent bit better than he has been in past seasons has really helped him.
Yeah, I think just Katie and Evil play so well off each other. It's crazy. Like I know I'll take Mungo's words, but I think Katie does a really good job of kind of making up for when Squirrel does actually make a mistake. Which to me is pretty rare, but I think she's always there to just get the ball back or something. And then she just goes crazy on getting multis and stuff. Evil is really good at holding space, and PD and Indasis just will do whatever and it'll help. But I think that team's chemistry has just benefited them so much. I will say I think they peaked a bit too early in the season, and people have caught up to them, but I still think they can definitely win it. But like their team chemistry is insane, on top of just the individual skill from Squirrel and Katie.
Yeah, that's some really sound analysis. Honestly, it's like they definitely didn't they start off season 8-0, 8-0
Yeah,
or 10
I think it was
0.
like 10-0. I think it was 10-0.
And then they definitely were the fourth runners and jumping out in front with the thrusters game type. They definitely seemed to, like you said, they started off really strong, but the other team started to play and catch up, and Marvin started to figure stuff out, and other players started to figure stuff out. But still the end of the season 11-5, number 3 seed, definitely a successful season. So. It'll be interesting to see them in playoffs. Obviously, though, we're all hyped to see that one. Next up is the first bye in the playoffs for first round, and that's Ascension with Solace. Shout out to Solace with the AMI Bid League team name. Static, go you. I love the Bid League team names. Solace, Deathcrawler, Epic Beast, Recharging. Solace just kind of like quietly goes about and is a top player, and he just makes everyone around him better. It doesn't matter who is on his team, he makes them a grade better than what they were. It might not apply to top players, but just any other player, really. Um, I know Deathcrawler was probably happy to be on his team again because they were teammates in Season 2. And then Epic Beast, serviceable runner, good guy. He's always going to fill in and have some good defense with the sword. He's a decent runner, too. He can hold possession, get some punches. Yeah, he's a grinder on Infinite. He plays the game regularly outside of Grifball, so that gives him a one-up. And the biggest surprise of the season has been recharging. I mean, he's had quite the glow-up. I don't know what it is about EU players taking their turns in seasons having a glow-up, but this season is recharging season. I mean, he's had some A grade games and B grade games, and yes, I know grade's not everything. It's a reference to others, but for him to be that high in reference to others and live where he lives and have that kind of ping, that's amazing. Their team is sort of like y'all's, bend but don't break. A lot of good defense, a lot of good high IQ plays, and Deathcrawler never walks forward. So there's that.
As I say, I think they're pretty similar to us, where they're super well-rounded altogether. I think they do have more of a designed runner, I guess, compared to us, but they just have such well-roundedness, and Solace is pretty smart, probably one of the smartest Grifballers there are in these parts still. So like him and Death can be pretty tricky tanking against, which really helps them because Death is pretty passive. He, like you said, he never really walks forward, and then Solace can change his tanking and dancing like I guess defeat every player. That's the right word. I just think they're super well rounded.
Yeah, I agree. Just stupidly well rounded, and Frenzy going off and having a crazy season, I think, is helping them a ton. But they just play really smart, and they all have good skill. Just, I think Solace did a really good job of drafting and made a really good team. They just click.
Yeah, and then ending with the number 1 seed is Mystical Novice with FC Barcelona, and I think both of you can agree, and probably a lot of other players around the community, that watching the bid and seeing that Novice won Spank, that's a problem. That was a problem right away, and I called it. I was like, oh fuck, that's bad. And Spank might have had a lackluster season last season compared to now, but that's the reason why he was able to go as low as he did, even though he didn't go for very low. But them two right there in this pool, that was going to be a problem regardless. And then they pick up a Ware to have kind of like that off tank, to keep Spank alive and keep the runner alive. And then they got Panther Lily, which I mentioned before that he had PD first, but then he ended up with Panther Lily, and it hasn't been a bad thing at all. There was a time I was watching Panther Lily and Big Al both playing late league. It was in the middle of the season, and they were fucking going off. I mean, I couldn't touch Panther Lily. He was kicking my ass. So he's definitely made some strides throughout the season. Novice, other than Squirrel, you have to regard him as probably the other best runner in the league. He's just a lot more aggressive, and Squirrel's more methodical, staying back. But Novice is just cracked. That's the only way you can describe him. Spank's having a little bit better of season 2, so it definitely shows in the standings.
Honestly, I was a bit concerned at the beginning of the season because I didn't know like how well a team of like a Ware and Panther would do. And surprisingly, they've both played pretty well. Obviously, they have the top seed in the league, so obviously something went right. I'm pretty impressed with how well Panther Lily has improved compared to last season when he was on my team. And obviously, Ware's always going to be solid. And then Spank having a bounce back season compared to whatever the fuck happened last season. So it's tough because I feel like they have a really good peak, but they also have like a really low. So I'm kind of curious to see how this team will do in playoffs. Interests me.
I think for them it does depend on the type of team they play, but like the way I view their team is Novice is one of the best players in the league at capitalizing on opportunities. And they got Spank and Panther Lily, who are insanely aggressive tanks, and will like Panther might feed a shit ton of kills, but he'll always have one random moment where he gets like a kill tack or something. Same with Spank. Like they'll just get random big multi kills, and then that's all Novice needs to make a play and score a goal. So I think that's what their team is based on, is just being really aggressive, and in that one moment where other
They
team
need it.
folds, yep, novice can just make the play and score, and that's how they play. So I think it works, especially with novice. I mean, once novice is on the ball, he's a great defender and great tank, so they can defend as a team still. So I think they're pretty well rounded, and just it works for novice for what he wants to do.
Yeah, really, all you want to do for a runner that skill is get 3 kills, whether you trade or one person gets a double with a trade and just leave him with a one-on-one, to where all he's got to do is make the punch and score, or make a miss with a stutter step and then run it in, just something like that. Set up good high percentage plays, basically.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's it for the standings, and the next thing I got on the outline is just going to quickly touch on the late league bot change. So recently we had Neat Q, I think is what it's called. Lux brought that in, and I just want to take a moment here to give a special thanks to Digital Pain for everything he did with the bot that he was working on, and for putting up with our shit even when he was playing or when he wasn't playing. He still took time to do stuff and make sure we were taken care of and all that. And I know he put a lot of time and money as well into something like that. So definitely appreciate all the work he did to help keep our league automated with the stats and whatnot. So, but you can still play a late league. It's just a little different now.
As I say, Late League basically kept the league alive for a few years there, because we didn't have like actual AJ seasons for like a year or whatever it was.
Yeah. Kind of miss it. I hope something else comes along. I don't know. The neat bot's a nice idea, but I don't think it's
I was gonna say I haven't tried it yet, so I have no idea what it's like.
Well, it's a little different. You just go to the Q channel and you click join. There's a button where you just click join, and it puts you in your own voice chat and all that. It's pretty cool. It's just new, and people will have to get used to how it works and all that. It's just different.
Is Late League still like as popular? Because I feel like since the bot like switched, I haven't seen Late League as alive. But I don't know, maybe it's because like I'm just not used to seeing the whatever neat thing it is.
I think there's been a game every now and then, but it's kind of been dead.
Probably because of League.
Yeah.
The league playoffs are starting. I'm sure it'll probably pop back up again once the season's over.
I think there's a lot of screaming going on every night, so I might.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it'll come back and shine during the off season, but I don't think it's gonna be peak like the when Pop Tart did his circuits and stuff like that. I would like to see that come back because that was really fun. Having the start times the same every night, so people could kind of plan for it and all hop on at once, and then the circuits were really good and all that. I just think unless it has structure brought back like that, it's gonna be about like it is now. But off season, it'll definitely kick up a little more. All right, the next thing I got here is some leaderboards. So I'm gonna quickly go through a few of these. There's 9 statistics that are showing for leaderboard, and I want to start with the most important one that people probably care the most about, and that's KD spread, because what's Grifball without KD? That's all that matters. No real surprise who number 1 in KD spread is. It's literally not even a thought. It's Cosmos plus 576. Then you got Master Squirrel at plus 483, Chemical plus 333, Novice plus 309, and the Mavmen with plus 291. Pretty much 292 because it says 291.99. So
yeah, the point stuff is because it factors in assists. I'm pretty sure Halo 5 did the same thing with KD, where it also took in the assist total into the total KD of the player. So like when you see point differentials, it's just like the factoring of like the assisting. Just a thing to think about with that, I guess. Not always kills and deaths.
Well, I say if it's .99, we just round you up to 292. Sounds good to me. All right, next we got total kills, and Marvin number 1, 1598 kills. Cosmos number 2 with 1528. Irain 7, fucking Wimpy Deer with 1247. Then Kim with 1242, and Katie Skill number 5 at 1195. I guess that's Nothing really surprises me on there except for Mr. Vine, but he subbed a lot, like we said, and he was very effective and consistent across those games. So I guess that isn't really surprising. I take that back.
He's gonna have those high totals because of him sub. I have to. I'm gonna find this later, but later I'll see how many games he like subbed in total. Maybe a good idea for next season to have like a sub like a separate page just for like the sub stats to see how well a player played when they were subbing. I think that's been done in the past. Maybe something to look into to like give the leaderboards more of like a concise answer, with also factoring the subbing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it'd be good to have something to keep it separate. All right, the next category we have is goals, and it's pretty easy to know who's got the most goals. Well, two people, but it's Novice. 63 goals for Novice, he's number one. Master Squirrel, or Squire, 46 goals. Epic Beast is third with 32 goals. It's not a big surprise since Ascension's been playing so well. Fourth place is Captain Sev with 30 goals. And then fifth place, which is actually tied for fourth place, Mr. Vine with 30 goals. And since there's a tie for first, I get to say Scullin with 6 with 23. Go Scullin. The most surprising entry on this list is at the bottom. Irene with 17 goals. I know that dude hates running. So I want to hear the stories.
Surprise me.
I want to hear the story about how that happened. All right. So next will be a little bit better of a category because it's KD ratio and the amount of games don't really factor into it because it's a per game thing. So number one in KD ratio was Master Squire with a whopping 1.73 KD ratio. Then Cosmos with a 1.59, Novice with a 1.46, Mav with a 1.368, and then Kimmy Poo with a 1.35. Go Mav. And Skull,
Honestly, it's kind of crazy seeing this discrepancy between Squire and the rest of us.
yeah, Mr. Leaderboard. But
I had one. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, I was just gonna say you're on that leaderboard too. You're 10th with
Damn,
1.09.
first. Nice. I'll say Squire had a game where he had like a 2.15 KD with like 100 some kills. So.
Yeah, it's the game where he went plus 90. It was the game that was it's the longest game in Infinite's history. It was 49 minutes, and he went plus 90.
That was disgusting.
Yeah, that was a very oddball game because Infinite games are rather quick turnaround there. But yeah, that's pretty wild. All right, and the next category we got is betrayals. And the supreme winner of the Benedict Arnold Award this season is Irene with 68 betrayals. Evil was second place with 62. Then Kim with 60. Then Havoc Puppies with 58. And then me with 56. So we all win the Benedict Arnold Award. We some betraying motherfuckers. All right. And then the next one is Total Sprees. And pretty good to assume that Cosmos would be number one. Yep, he's number one with 58 sprees, Squire or Master Squirrel with 52, Novice with 37, Kim with 36, and Solace with 33. Yeah, like I said, man, Solace just kind of quietly it goes on and goes underrated, but he's like I said, he's elite, and people can say what they want, but Solace is elite, and he makes everyone around him play better. That's just all there is to it. And the last category I'm probably going to touch here, which I think is the coolest category, is passing goals. It's kind of an oddball one where you're not going to have high numbers really. And Master Squirrel had 8 passing goals, and that's number one. Big Al had 4. Scullin had 3. Captain Sev had 2, and Mav also had 2, and Marvin. So y'all had 3 people pretty much in the top 5 for passing goals.
Love my passing.
Yeah, and just to note, the other 2 categories are average life and total ball punches, and Master Squirrel was number 1 in those. No big shock there. So you might want to rename your season awards, Mavs, to the Master Squirrel Awards.
So he's winning a lot of them right now. Not to tip off the awards here, but I think he's winning a lot of them. Okay, never mind. The thing got updated. More people voted. He was winning a lot earlier, but he's only winning a handful now. Take that as you will. Uh, how many? Where's it? Okay, so he's an MVP. He's in Best Runner. And I think those are the only awards he's in that are voted on, I guess you could say.
Yeah, the others are write-ins.
Yeah, most of them are write-ins. Oh, he's also in Best Duo with Katie. So he's in those voted ones, and then the write-in ones. I have not looked through to give you a decisive answer on how many of those he's in. So he's in a lot of them.
Yeah, I think if there was a most improved one, like Evil suggested, he could probably be in the running for that. But it's like you said, that's a tough one to do. Most improved. It's you got to really look at it a lot and pay attention. So.
Plus, it was a new mode, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to. It's still a new mode, and then people you don't know are going to get better from like the past different modes. So I decided not to include it this time around.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the next thing we got on the outline here is we're already talking about it is Mavs Seasons Awards. So if you haven't voted on that, go vote on that. Democracy matters and stuff. So yeah,
Uh,
go push some buttons.
As I
And
say, we have 18 votes at the moment. I'm still waiting for Death and Cosmos to fucking vote, so you'd have 20. So what? A good majority of the people who played this season, I think, voted. Some people that didn't play voted too, but come on, go vote.
I'm doing it right now.
You already vote.
No.
God damn it, Skolin.
Doing it right now.
Trying my best, man.
It's like Death. Death hasn't fucking voted yet.
Trying
Need
my
all the
best.
admins to vote.
I did. I did it.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, I did. I had to remember. I sent you. I had to change one.
Oh yeah, earlier. Okay, I have to change that.
No, that's fine. All right, so yeah, go vote and do that stuff so we can have some cool awards around the ship. And then another thing I don't have in the outline but want to pencil in here is that I'm starting up top 25 content. So if I sent you a DM about sending a list, just get that to me whenever, and I can add it to the ranking and whatnot. It's always good content. I feel like it goes well with your season awards because your season awards definitely highlights number one person that's good at everything, and then top 25 kind of shines light on some more people. So I kind of like that. They kind of go hand in hand, I feel. But the next thing we have here is playoff predictions, and I actually have a prediction that was sent to me by Priest, and I very much appreciate you, Priest, for sending me that. So we'll just jump right into that, and I will just let y'all talk about what you feel about the predictions, and we can give our own thoughts. So for night one, it's Not Goose versus Shrek Republic. And Priest has Not Goose winning in 3 games, winning 2 games to 1. And he says, the main thing here is that Not Goose finished the season poorly, and I believe momentum plays a role. They split their regular season series, and I think Not Goose could drop game 1. If they win game 1, however, I think they'll close it out 2-0. I think.
I think I
Yeah,
agree with that.
yeah. You can go ahead, Scullin.
I think Skolin's voting at the moment.
I'm trying to think. You said not Goose
Oh, that's Evil's
versus
game.
Shrek. Yeah, I'm just
Okay, I
thinking.
didn't know.
They think that Evil 2-0 Shrek.
2-1. What Priest was saying is that if they drop game 1, then they'll win the next 2. But if they win game 1, they'll just win out, is what they're saying. So if Shrek wins game 1, Not Goose will win the next 2. But if Not Goose takes game 1, they're just going to take it 2-0, is what Priest was saying.
I think I could agree with that, but I think if Shrek teams win the first game, I think they'll probably win. I know Evil is a better team at playing the long game, which I think Shrek's team will start to falter at that. So I think Evil needs to make the games go long, and Shrek's team will probably start to play worse. But I don't know. To me, that's a whole toss-up. I think Shrek is probably my favorite for this, just because I have Marvin.
I think it depends on how tilted Shrek's team gets, because like we've watched some of Ox games he streamed, and there's been games where they've gotten really, really tilted, and it clearly affects them and they lose. So I think it massively depends on how tilted they get in game one. If they win game one, and they don't get like crazy amounts of tilt, then I honestly think they might win. It just depends.
That's where I think the duration of the games matters. I think the longer the games go, probably more tilt than the Shrek's team will get. So I think Shrek's team needs to win fast. I think Evil needs to try to make the games go a bit longer, or at least the first game to go long. And then after that, I think it'll be theirs. But I think it's kind of a toss-up just depending on duration of game and stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree. I think this one's definitely a toss up. Maybe no more than the other matchups that we'll have to predict. But with Not Goose kind of having a really strong start and kind of sputtering towards the end of the season, and Shrek's team kind of doing the opposite, they kind of sputtered, but then they had the Hyde situation happen now, and now they have a better fourth and they have better team comp, and they're kind of coming around. It'll be tough, but I kind of would agree with Priest's take. I think Not Goose will probably take it in 3 games. I think it'll go 3 games for sure. Um, so the next matchup we will have on that first night, which will be Friday, starting at 8 Eastern, will be ninth place, which is obviously a team y'all know about, as I said before. And y'all will be playing against Sab, and y'all literally just played Sab. We played the other night. So it'll be pretty much a repeat of that series. It'll be the Garlic Bread Bowl 2.0 between Avenger and Mungo. And Priest says that no, wait. He's got ninth place winning 2-0. Obviously, we didn't play either of these teams, but I think the amount of subbing that Like Clockwork has done for Dylan might hurt them in a series against a team as strong as ninth place who has played all their core all season.
It's going to depend. I can see us. I think it might go 3 games. I don't know. It depends on how well we start off, because I know sometimes, in my opinion, we can start a little slow. But I think it's going to be a very close series, especially with Dylan playing. But who knows? He might not play well, considering that they haven't had much time to mend. I'll let Skull talk.
I think it'll be a 3-game series. I don't know. I could see it going either way. Just the way they play, I think, is really detrimental towards us, but I know we can beat it if we just play well. Also, I think I need to be dialing.
Yeah, let's not have you have a repeat of what happened in the series where you go plus 20 the first game, and then you go negative 20 the second game, and throw.
I was having fun, man.
Maybe a little too much fun.
Hey, Sculling gonna have fun regardless. Winning and losing, he's gonna be having fun out there.
I can't say the same.
Netflix gets it.
Mav, I can't say the same. Yeah, we've heard you play. You need to be on Shrek's team. All right, so if those play out like Priest predicts, then day 2, that would mean FC Barcelona, which is the number 1 seed and gets a bye, they would be against Not Goose. And Priest has got FC Barcelona 2-0. He says, I'm a huge Novice stan. I just think what he does as the runner allows his tanks to pretty much do whatever they want, and that really allows the player to have the flexibility to go for bigger plays while not worrying as much it will cost you a possession. I've subbed with them against Not Goose and Scrims, and they definitely have some of the best bomb pressure, but once KD and Squirrel go down, the others kind of get taken advantage of.
I can see that. If Hawk is playing, then I actually think I might like Shrek's team in that, but it depends on how well Novice's team is tanking. I feel like that series could go 3 games as well, depending on how well Shrek's team plays. But I think probably Novice wins.
Well, this was against Evil's team because
you're
good.
She had a stroke.
It's against Not Goose, so but yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
I would agree. I think Novice would beat Evil's team. I think the way Novice's team plays is kind of Evil's team's kryptonite, just really aggressive, especially if they focus their runner down. I think that Novice's team would probably win. But granted, I can't dismiss Evil that easily, but I would say Novice is the favorite for that series.
Novice's team actually 5-0'd Evil's team in the regular season.
I did not know that. Okay.
I didn't know that either. I thought it was a 5-1 then a 5-2. So there's only been 2 5-0s the entire season, to my knowledge, or 3. Evil's team 5-0'd Hell's team, Novice team 5-0'd Evil's team, and we 5-0'd Sab's team. Novice 5-0'd Evil in 10 minutes, and then Novice beat Evil again 5-2 in 16 minutes. So I don't know what Novice has on like that team, but apparently he has a fucking death grip on them
I
because he destroyed
honestly,
them.
I think it's just being really aggressive. If they like, I'm assuming they focus Squirrel. If you are really aggressive, which their team is, I think that's why. So I think it's kind of opposites there.
Next would be if his predictions panned out like he said in the day one. The other match in the semifinals would be ninth place versus Ascension, and Priest has Ascension winning 2-1 in a 3-game series. And he says a literal toss up as they split the season series. This might be the actual best matchup of the playoffs. I like the team that Solace has built. Ninth place is also a great build team. If Ascension can neutralize Skullen's impact, then they win this. But if Skullen pops off, then ninth place will take the series, I think.
The other thing is so we actually didn't split the season series. We all lost 5-4 both games to them. That was before Hawk got better. So I'm curious to see how well we'll play against them now. Uh, I think it really is a toss-up. I think it depends on how well all of us play. If we can hold the bomb, then I think we probably win 3-1. And I think both games are, well, like all games are very, very close. I think we win just barely.
I think it's a toss up too. It would be a game of possession for us, but
Yeah.
I could see it going either way with that team. But I would agree with Priest's prediction. Doesn't seem too unsurprising.
Definitely some thrilling matchups in the playoffs. And the last one that he has for the finals prediction, if all that pans out, with Ascension versus FC Barcelona. And he's got Solace's team winning 3-1 in a 5-game series. And he says, pains me to say this because I really want to see Novice win, but I think Death and Recharging outplay Panther and Aware so much that Spank won't be able to make up the difference. I think this comes down to how much Panther Lily and Aware can close the gap. If they have decent games, then they can maybe pull this off. I just think Ascension will close the series out before they figure it out. Still rooting for Novice, though.
I wouldn't be shocked if there comes a situation where Novice gives the ball to Aware and then Novice and Spank tank together to give them like the better tanking line. And then Panther can really be like their push guy in a way, if that makes sense, where like he may go like -30, but he'll have like what Skolin said earlier, where he might go -30, but he get like a kill tack when they need it and score. I do think Solace probably wins that series though. I'll say like I'll say 3-2 games. I think it goes the full 5-game series, but I think Solace probably wins in the end.
I think that I want to say Solace, but I have a feeling with how much Novice's team has been scrimming and playing and how little Solace's team has played, especially since Late League has been down. They played all their season games right away. I think that Novice's team has a pretty good advantage now, and I think they know what their issues are, and they're probably working on them. So I would pick Novice to go like 3-1 in that series.
I think Novice running with Spank and Aware tanking together works well. I mean, maybe not as well as if Novice was off ball, but Spank and Aware have been playing together since season one. Like they were together in season one, they were together in season two. Not together in season three. They ended up on different teams, but now they're back together. So he's played with Aware or by Aware for 3 out of 4 Infinite seasons. So they definitely have some really really good chemistry tanking together with Spank as the lead tank and Aware as kind of like a support tank, keeping Spank alive, and then Panther Lily doing whatever on the flank or filling in the middle, whatever. I think that gives them a good look, but that's a good point. If they start to struggle and need a new look, they might toss the ball back, and because Aware's a capable runner, he can do it. He won't want to, but he can hold it pretty good. So it'd give him a different look. So it looks like it'll be another thrilling playoffs. I feel like we've had some pretty good balanced teams the last few seasons. Some real down to the wire for the standings and stuff. I mean, we had it in season 2 and season 3, and in this season as well. A team made the playoffs in the last week. So I would say the team building has been really good. Moving on, the next thing I have is the new next season's game type poll. So there's lots of choices to choose from in the game type poll. There's a season 2 choice. There's a season 3 choice. There's a current season choice for thrust. There's a vanilla with only sprint and passing, basically. Action season, score fest, ricochet. I mean, you name it, man. We got all kinds of fucking choices. So make your vote count and vote with what you like to see. I'm kind of in a good spot right now because I don't really care if we do go back to basics or thrust again because I played fucking pretty good on thrust, so I don't mind doing that again. But I voted for back to basics because I'm just curious to see how it would play in a season, having it more vanilla and more bare bones standalone, a lot more dancing for the tanking, a lot more teamwork is involved instead of gimmick stuff. So I don't know. If you haven't voted yet, you got to go do that.
I say it's a pretty close vote right now because I think it's either tied or Back to Basics is winning by 1 vote.
Back to basics is
So
winning by 1 vote.
go vote, people.
We have to last minute snipe this.
There you go.
The mode
I
I
haven't voted
wanted,
yet, so
the mode I wanted was not added to this, which makes me sad because I wanted thrust with equipment. I feel like that would be an absolute shit show. That'd be fun.
yeah, that'd be fucking chaos.
I would love that.
It'd be a shit show, all right.
So I don't know. I gotta figure out what I want still, but my dream isn't there. Well, the action one seems pretty interesting. I might have to.
I think
That'd be
action.
interesting.
I think action would be pretty cool, but I know they did one. I mean, it wasn't recently or not. I remember when Encott ran the action season. I wasn't there around for it, but like I said,
That was not run at all. That was not well run at all.
well, I just remember that happening. I don't remember the details. I wasn't around then, but I just know it's happened before and could be cool. So, but the top 2 that are in the running right now, I'm fine with either, and I'm fine with action season too. So it's whatever for me really. The next thing I have here is Noplex Zone, and this is when I want to say some things that I want to say so you can hear the sound of my beautiful voice. What I got this time is I feel really bad about the hide situation. Can't really control what people do if they're going to play or not going to play. They're going to play because they're on a good team or they're going to quit because they're on a team that's not looking so promising. It's whatever. I feel bad for him leaving, but I am not going to apologize for trying to go out of my way to grow our community. You can call me an idiot, you can call me a fuck up, whatever. That's great. Diss me all you want. But I'm not going to apologize for trying to get people to play. That's just all I'm going to say about that. Only other thing that I have is future's looking bright, and there's a chance that we could possibly get our game type into matchmaking. Not sure yet. I don't know all the details, but I do know that we've been going through some change and the server leadership, and change is good, but I feel like if even for the slightest chance for something like that to happen, more work needs to be done. Because if that becomes a reality and we have new players coming in because of matchmaking, we definitely will need to make some changes to make it to give them more to do and interact with, kind of keep them around. Events, content, any kind of retention tactics, I think would be good. So that's pretty much all I got to say.
Are we on to outros and shoutouts?
I mean, you can say whatever you want, really, about what I said. But if not, that's fine. Yeah, we can just go to the next part. And like I said, that's pretty much all I got. We're at the end and outro and shout outs. And man, I've been talking for so long, I don't even remember who I was gonna shout out. I know I shouted out Didge, so that's one I wanted to do. Yeah. Shout out to Mav. How about that guy, huh?
Yeah. Wait, what, me?
Yes, you. What you mean, what me? Hell yeah, you. You were somebody that not even a few months ago, there ain't no way in hell you would have ever thought you would have been invited in to be able to help do leadership stuff with Grifball. And you've been killing it, man. I mean, people can rag on you all they want and say you don't converse as well and all that in the server, but you're a grinder, man. Without you, the last season would have taken much longer to get up and going, and it would have been much harder to get up. You were kind of the point man on that at first, so.
To be fair, my 90% of what I do as an admin doesn't really involve the server. It's more of doing the admin work itself.
But that's
so like
yeah, that's important.
Yeah,
though.
I'm doing the dirty work.
Yeah, the back end work is stuff nobody ever sees, but it's very appreciated. You got to have that for schedule and stats and all that stuff. So yeah, man. Shout out to you and obviously A Spence. Yeah, shout out to Death for all the work he's been doing this season on the game type and trying to promote our stuff. I know I've been kind of lacking on the Twitter front this season. I posted more last season, but he's been doing a lot more on that too. He's been kind of taking over and doing those things too. So yeah, shout out to Death Baller. He's a fucking man. Glad to see him back in playoffs. So all right, I'll go ahead and pass it on to you, Mav.
Uh, I guess this is not really a shout out, but sort of like a thank you for everyone who signed up for the season. Obviously, we're trying to regrow the community again, and honestly, everyone who plays or gives their time to the community is much appreciated. And all the people who might be listening who are thinking about, signing up again or coming back, or new players who maybe just randomly stumbled across this. Come on, give us a try, play it. Hopefully matchmaking for Grifball will be there soon in the coming months or however long that might be. So just, I guess, a thank you to everyone who's playing, who will play, or anything like that. That's about it for me. Scullin, if you want to do whatever you want, huh?
Yeah, I got to shout out Ram Osnab for signing up and being the most handsome man in the league. Absolute man he is. Also, thanks to Shrek for carrying me in Dota. But I do want to thank you, Mav, and Death, especially A Spence, everyone for organizing this shit still and trying to make it grow and continue and doing all this extra shit in the background. Nice to have these seasons and have something competitive to play and look forward to. So it's been really fun. Thank you guys.
No, Scullin, thank you. Truant.
To say no, thank you.
Thank you, Scullin. You're the man. It is nice to have some consistency back after, having a little bit of time without Griff or anything consistent. Consistency is key, I think. Whether people want to play or don't want to play, you just got to have it there. You can't make them sign up or play. You're going to just put the best product you can out there and hope they sign up. So, well, that's all we got for this episode, and the next one that you'll be seeing coming up will be episode number 10, and that will be a championship edition. So whoever ends up going to the championship and winning, hell, they could be you back on the podcast again for the next one, Skull, and who knows. But that'll be a special one where everybody on the team's invited and whatnot. So, thanks you all for listening to this edition of the podcast, and we will see you on the court.